My name is Joseph Fan. I'm from Taiwan, working in Hong Kong for the past 15 years. The rest of my family is all Australian, so it's very good to be back, and thank you for the invitation. The key theme of my talk today is about sustainability. And when I talk about this, you guys can think about how Australia can help Asia to prolong the growth of the various economy in Asia to make the entire region more sustainable. I think Australia can provide a very critical role from this aspect. Before I talk about anything, let me quote a few research and numbers produced by this research. All this research are, I have been involved, and they are all published or heavily publicized. First of all, you may not know, China is the world's most difficult place to borrow money from the bank. Simply number one, most difficult. And among 50 countries we researched, the top 10 most difficult place to raise capital from banks, 5 of them are in Asia. So think about what Australia can do. Number 2, correct, Asia, especially Northern Asia, has been the powerhouse of IPO. We have billions of dollars raised in the capital market. But some of you may not know that that's about, for most companies that went public, that was about the only capital market event in the entire history of those companies. Secondary capital market activities are extremely sparse, and many companies are subject to heavy stock market discount. To give you a precise number, we study 630 state-owned enterprises in China. They are all controlled by local government in different provinces. We tracked their stock performance for 36 months after they went public. The average stock return, adjusting for the market, was about negative 50%. And these are typically attributable to companies whose chairman or CEOs are ex-bureaucrats. So governments are still exerting a heavy hand on the business sectors, especially the state-owned enterprises. So if you are investors of those stocks, you don't even have to look at their annual report. Just look at who's the boss. You can avoid a lot of risk. Another piece of research, if you invest in Asian public traded companies, let's say they are private companies, they are family-owned, avoid invest company controlled by a parent company. We call this stock pyramids. Stock pyramid ownership structure typically typically translate into 10 to 40% of stock price discount. So if you invest in a public traded subsidiary controlled by a parent company, the maximum discount you will have to ask for is 40% on average. Even though the company worth $100, you are only willing to pay $60 because of the risk involved of being expropriated by the parent company, the owners. If you invest in companies in Asia that are in transitions, these are family business. By the way, family business account for almost 100% of the private sector business. So we're talking about almost everyone. So if you invest in companies whose patriarch is fading away, retiring, be careful, because in the 5-year transition period, we studied 250 family business succession. The average stock price discount is 60%. So that means that for every $100 of shareholder wealth, either owner's wealth or investor's wealth, after 5 years of transition, the value is only $40. It's very, very serious. Then what can you invest in? Well, invest in those companies that have strong relationship. For example, if you knew the sons and daughters of a business family is marrying a royal and noble family, bureaucrats, politicians, 2 weeks before the wedding ceremony, the stock price increased by 4%. If you marry your daughter to a professor, underwear supermodel, it doesn't help. So this is a summary of my past decade of research of Asian companies, state-owned or private-owned. It took a long time to conduct this research, but the whole picture is sad. We're talking about sustainability. 10 years from now, how many of these family firms will remain? How many of these state-owned enterprises can still take monopoly position and wasting taxpayers' money? I think those are the areas where Australia can help by providing professionalism, by providing financial liquidity, and also by providing legal and consulting services. But before we are able to do that, we must learn what causes all those bizarre phenomena in the corporate and business sectors. If you want me to point out only one or two fundamental reasons, I would have to tell you that it has everything to do with the government. Doesn't matter who you are dealing with, you cannot avoid the government. I'm not just talking about China. And you may think China has only one government, but I can tell you China has 1,000th government at all 5 different levels. And when you do business in China, you have to know who you should be talking to. You may spend 5 years without talking to the key person. And you may be sick by drinking too much without getting enough. This has not changed, right? 10 years ago, we think it might be changing given the opening up of China. But it has not changed. You still have to drink a lot. Corruption is a very critical issue, not just in China and across Southeast Asia. You may think corruption has to do with democracy or dictatorship. No. It doesn't matter whether you do business in a democratic country or a dictatorship. It doesn't matter whether you do business in a so-called free market or control economy. It doesn't have to do with any of those. It simply has to do with the quality, the institution that affect the quality of bureaucrats, right? We do not yet know how to select good political leadership, but we do know that those political leadership emerging Asia control almost every critical business resources. And they certainly know how to use power to transfer those resources to their interest group and also including into their own pockets. The recent New York Times disclosure of the incidents in China is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Of course, it has to be clarified by the Chinese government. But this is not just about China. In Taiwan, we have an ex-government, ex-president used Air Force One to transport jewelry and US dollar to some Pacific islands. You have to be careful about that, not being killed by those politicians, especially for those in the wealth management sector. Now, because of this upper level institutional inefficiency, capital market and the business sectors are heavily influenced by that. They are very difficult to professionalize. It doesn't matter whether you are state-owned enterprises or family business. They are typically relationship-based. They need to have very good relationship with bureaucrats and governments, and so as Australian companies. Now, when you do business in Asia, you have to learn how to deal with politics, how to deal with relationship. All this could be cultural shock to Australia, but this may not be new to you. You have lots of Asian immigrants. My suggestion would be employ lots of Asian immigrants and work with them when you try to penetrate Asia. Using our traditional way of doing business in emerging Asia may take a long time, and you may pay a big price before you can gain anything. Finally, let me point out a few opportunities that I see for Australia when you go to emerging Asia. I think wealth management is a very promising sector. Wealth managing is not just about investment. It's also about coaching business owners, making smooth transition, professionalize their company. We need consultants, we need legal services, and all this can be provided by Australia. We need a team of Australians with different expertise to help them. And Singapore is taking an initiation. I mean, this sector is booming in Singapore. And foreseeing more and more capital coming out of China into Hong Kong and the rest of the world, I mean, Hong Kong will be another place that you can pay attention to. Finally, I would like to encourage you that we are not just about how to do business or play politics with Asia. We are also, I think as an Australian, we should also think about how to provide our professionalism to help Asia sustain their economics and social growth. And that purpose is very noble, and it cannot be wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph.